Where do I stand? Abortion. I personally feel that the government does not have the legal right to control what a woman decides to do with her body. If another woman decides to get an abortion, I would never hold that against her, as there are many different reasons women feel the need to get an abortion. Some feel they are unable to care for the child for reasons such as finances or possibly because they feel they're too young. Other people do not choose to have children or even have sex and they are raped. This non-consensual form of sex could lead to the impregnation of a woman unwillingly. I feel there are numerous different reasons for an abortion, and since they in no way affect me, I feel a woman has every right to have one. Not only that, I feel that if I were to ever need to have one, I would like to keep my options open. While my parents may be disappointed if I decide to get an abortion, they also realize that not everyone is in a state to raise a child. My aunt actually had an abortion when she was 15, so I believe that my parents understand the idea of choices and freedom regarding a woman's body. Gun control. Gun control is a very controversial topic. I personally approve of people owning their own guns to a certain extent. I feel that owning assault weapons should be illegal due to their harm on society. In my eyes, there is no need to own a weapon that could murder dozens of people very quickly. However, I believe guns such as pistols should be allowed since these weapons are used more for defense than mass murder. While I understand that any gun can be used for murder, I also see it as people have a right to defense. Not only that, I feel that crazy is always going to get a gun, no matter the laws in place. I was raised in an area in the South where guns are not looked at as killers. My parents also own guns, so I don't really look at them as a dangerous hazard since they have always been in my household, kept safely. Since I technically do not disagree with gun control completely, I would say that I align more with the Republican Party on this issue. Voting of prisoners. I feel that prisoners deserve the right to vote since they are still a part of society, even if it may be behind a gate. Not only that, they are still citizens in my eyes. A crime makes them a morally and legally wrong person, but they are still a person all the same. If I were a criminal, I would want my vote to count because I would feel without that I would not be represented in the government. I have seen many videos of people living inside prison, and I feel that while they may deserve to be in prison, prison should be more about reform than punishment, and in my opinion, that cannot be done without granting people their rights. Not only that, a couple members of my family have served time in prison, meaning I've had the opportunity to hear what life is like on the inside. I personally feel the prison system needs a lot of work. However, allowing voting is a good first step to reforming the system as a whole. Citizenship. My mother was born in England and moved over to the States as a child. She's a completely legal immigrant, but has faced challenges in becoming a citizen. She has influenced my belief that if a person lives in the U.S. and pays taxes, then there really is no reason they shouldn't be a citizen. My mother pays for her green card renewal every 7 years. Each time, the price increases more and more. On top of that, she pays regular taxes. I have seen her live life as an immigrant and her transition to the American style of life. Because of watching my mother pay her dues, I feel that immigrants should be granted the right to vote. In my opinion, immigrants are a large portion of the country, so they should have a say in what happens within it, even if they're not born here. Not only that, getting citizenship here seems difficult, which is another reason I believe immigrants who pay taxes should be granted the ability to vote. To me, voting should not just be restricted to those born here, but those who support the country, since those are the men and women who make American society so diverse. Climate change. I want to live in a world that will continue to survive for thousands of years. But at the current pace, I feel that my great-grandkids will not live in the beautiful world I currently live in. I feel that in order to ensure that my grandkids, great-grandkids, and so on live in peace, beauty, and harmony, the government needs to get more involved in preventing climate change. In my opinion, this is a very important issue, and the government should regulate business practices in order to ensure that factories and companies do not pollute the environment more than needed. I remember as a kid I was surrounded by trees and nature. I am still in the same house, but construction has taken over my city. Now when I look outside, instead of trees, I see construction, more houses, and a bunch of public storage centers. I feel that this damages the environment and leads to heat islands, climate change, and deforestation, ultimately destroying the beauty I wanted this country to preserve. Marijuana legalization. When the time comes, I would support the government's decision to make marijuana legal for medicinal and recreational use. I personally feel that marijuana is not a dangerous drug. While it does cause a high sensation, I feel it does a lot of good. My aunt lives in a state where marijuana is legal and actually makes a good profit off of the drug. Not only that, I feel it would help many people's chronic pain and anxiety levels. I know my aunt benefits not only economically, but also because she suffers from a lot of joint pain. Personally, if it becomes legal, I would use it if prescribed or necessary, because I do not see the harm in marijuana. I also feel it would lessen my anxiety levels. Police reform. I feel there are multiple issues within the police system. I think that people should not fear for their lives based on the color of their skin. I personally fear there is a systemic form of racism within the police system, which results in brutality and murder. I understand that not every cop is racist, but I feel the best way to prevent further civil unrest and promote equality, the government needs to have every cop undergo training in order to ensure there is no bias in the eyes of our cops. Not only that, I think training which teaches when to use violent force, would encourage better treatment of criminals or suspects or just the public. I feel this way because it saddens me to look at one of my black friends and see that they fear for their lives when around police, despite cops being one of the ones we go to for protection. This idea was not implanted into my head as a child. It came from growing up in the South where cops took law into their own hands and played judge, jury, and executioner. I have also been raised in the middle of the Black Lives Matter movement, which has influenced my perspective on what truly matters in life, and that is other people. I do not want to live in a world where my neighbors or friends feel scared of blue lives. Border control. Despite my father believing that a wall along the border would be good, I respectfully disagree. I have met numerous illegal immigrants throughout my lifetime, and I feel they deserve to be in this country just as much as anyone else. I personally do not care if someone crossed the Mexican-American border in order to provide a better life for their children. They are welcome as far as I'm concerned. I feel that border control should not be any tighter than it already is because of the moral issue it holds. In my opinion, a stricter border would lead to a less diverse country. These ideas did not come from my family because they actually disagree with me on this issue. I think this thought process came from seeing a variety of different people when I was much younger. I got used to seeing a diverse population, unlike my parents, which might have made me more open-minded, leading me to a more welcoming personality. Healthcare. My mother worked in healthcare for many years, and every day she would come home and tell us stories about what happened that day. Who almost died, but who didn't because of the hospital. And how happy families are when they learn the tumor in their child is no longer going to take his or her life. Through this, I developed the mentality that everyone, no matter their origin, income, or race, should have access to healthcare. I agree that the government should increase funding for healthcare and every citizen should not go bankrupt because of a hospital bill. I feel that the government has the power and should take action to make healthcare affordable for all. I realize that this could take away from our income, but to me, I feel that saving lives is more important. Military spending. I feel the military spending budget is too high for what we need as Americans. In my opinion, things such as education, healthcare, and other forms of government spending take priority over what I feel is an excessive military budget. I understand that we must protect our country, but I don't feel we need quite so much money to do so. America is already a massive power to fight, so I don't think by reducing the military budget by, say, 5% would result in our country being endangered. Not only that, I think that the country needs to focus more on helping those which we are protecting. By that, I mean we must have something to protect, but we cannot do that if the country is suffering economically from a pandemic. In all, I feel the budget should be mildly decreased in order to ensure that we still have a strong military, but not an excessive one.